saw lots of good conversations. I'm glad everyone was getting into it and moving stuff around. So why don't we have a little bit of a debrief? So, what did you observe? Maybe that's a bad question to start off with. Yes, sir?
I noticed that the one word at the top evoked a very different response from the subtext at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So maybe, if you were doing this later, by the way, it's freely available. You can go to movingmotivators.com or management30.com and find Moving Motivators. The URL might even be on there, I'm not sure, but it's pretty easy to find. And you can print it out and make your own copy. But maybe you would, as you go, take the time to read them. What does it mean? And mark up, write on there, change it. It's okay to do that. Yes?
Yeah, I noticed that sometimes the initial thought of whether the change was up or down, if you poked a little and asked a few questions, sometimes it caused her to see it a completely different way and go, oh, yeah. And all you're doing is saying, well, why?
That's fantastic. And so that's sometimes, we're complex. We're not simple beings. We're complex people. We're rich. We have a lot of depth. And sometimes just having that conversation can make people think that, oh man, I had this fear, uncertainty, and doubt about this change, but really it was kind of unfounded, and maybe I'm okay with it. Now, of course, it could go the other way and backfire, but you still have learned something, and perhaps help the other person. They might have stuff in the back of the head that they just haven't really processed, and you can help people process stuff. Did you encounter anything interesting? Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And I'm struggling with that concept as something that was number one for me, if you call it the baseline. When I thought of the change, went down drastically in importance so much that I'm wondering what the hell is happening. And so it's an apparent conflict in my mind right now as to why that is happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Saying it aloud, and that's a challenge to me.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. We're complex people, and there's no simple answers. And sometimes there's, and I kind of alluded to this in the instructions. I said you may notice some internal inconsistency, and what does it mean? And there might not be an obvious answer right away, but maybe an answer will come later. So thank you for sharing that. Anything else, John?
I actually rearranged mine a little bit on the second one because what was important to me as an individual became less important when I thought about the new projects that I'm going into, just from the perspective of what I think I need to have as far as an outward appearance.
Right. And I have done this for myself a number of times, and make that not bother me. And I've noticed that what's important to me does change over time. And it may be just like, and I've taken Myers-Briggs probably 5 or 6 times, and it is changed over time. So some things just aren't repeatable or stable, or maybe I'm changing, or both. But again, that's not the important thing so much is what you can get out of it, the tool, having the conversation. What did you hear? Did you hear anything interesting? Yes?
A different perspective than my own.
You heard a different perspective than your own. Can you expound on that a little bit and make sure the people in the back can hear?
I guess some of them, like what he put on top, I hadn't thought of it in that perspective. I guess like you're saying that everybody looks at the label or the text on it and thinks something differently. You're not supposed to think that deeply into it, but as you discuss through it, you realize how different things play in, I guess.
And how different people are?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you might not have thought that status would have been very important to some particular person. If you may learn that, there may be ways to change the job or give you more responsibilities or take advantage of that. Yes, sir?
Well, I guess this plays into that too. It's when we embark on that journey of understanding motivators and understanding these principles, that common understanding of what we're talking about together needs to be established. Because if I think we're talking about status in one aspect and you think something different, if we don't vocalize and clarify it, we're still going to be as screwed up as we were when we started.
Yes. That's very important. So kind of as also alluded to with someone else, I don't remember where it was, but you can have different interpretations of the card. Even one person looking at one card may think that, not understand why the description matches the title and may be conflicted there. So as you talk through these things, you kind of want to listen for those cues. Does status mean to me as manager the same thing it means to my employee or teammate? Very excellent point. Other comments? Yes, ma'am.